He knows to stay humble. See, which one for the office? Sorry, in the middle.
As September 13th approaches, the buzz surrounding the highly anticipated super middleweight clash between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez is reaching a fever pitch. In what has become one of the most talked about training camps of the year, Terence Crawford has decided to shut the doors to the media, fans, and even his usual circle to focus entirely on preparing for what could be the defining fight of his career. His single-minded goal is clear: dethrone the undisputed super middleweight champion Canelo Alvarez, a daunting task that will test every bit of Crawford's ability as a fighter.
Get in the ring with Canelo Alvarez. Terence is not going to see anything that he hasn't seen before. No, he hasn't seen this beast on fight night, but he's seen versions of this beast for a very, very, very long time. People have said that he's a blown-up 147-pound fighter. If you remember, he said it was hard for him to make 147 when he fought Errol Spence Jr. I was like, yo, how is that possible? I didn't realize he was really doing everything that's needed to gain the weight properly. Most fighters don't know how to gain weight and fit into a weight class properly. He's done that.
Yeah.
Crawford, who's making the leap up from the 154-pound super welterweight division to 168 pounds, has always been known for his adaptability, elusive footwork, and devastating punch combinations. But now, moving up to a weight class where Canelo has been dominant for years, Crawford faces a monumental challenge. To make matters even more intriguing, Crawford will face a fighter who has been largely unstoppable at the super middleweight limit and is the favorite to win this fight.
Canelo is the last fighter in our generation that's a Hall of Famer, that got the biggest name in the sport. So, I chose to go up in weight and to actually try to conquer him from, all his achievements in the division. So why not? I just respect him as all. He's a great fighter. He's, a good boxer. He's a good counterpuncher. He's never, off balance. He got a good chin. He got good power. Got, good movement when he want to move. What is there to not say about him?
No, I got you. Now, with all of that, as you rattled off, we'll call it the scouting report, right? What will you have to do to be your best version in order to get this victory?
I think just be myself and just don't get careless in the ring and, stay sharp all 12 rounds if it goes 12 rounds. I think that's the only thing that, I need to do and make sure that in training that I sharpen up all my tools.
Despite the obstacles, Crawford is undeterred. He has shown that he's willing to put in the work necessary to win, even if that means taking drastic steps like isolating himself from any distractions. His camp in Colorado Springs, closed off to all interviews and visitors, reflects his intense dedication and focus. One of the most talked about aspects of the fight is Crawford's training regimen. This is a fighter who, until now, has been competing in lighter weight divisions, but has shown he's capable of moving up and continuing his reign. The move from 154 pounds to 168 is significant, especially given that Canelo is naturally bigger and stronger in this weight class. However, Crawford's camp has made it clear that he's doing everything in his power to avoid the mistakes made by other fighters who jumped up in weight too quickly or without proper adjustment. This includes keeping his fluidity and speed, which have been a hallmark of his style.
So here's a video that many people have sent me to determine in their mind that Terence Bud Crawford would lose to Canelo Alvarez, or is going to lose September 13th to Canelo Alvarez, as he is sparring here middleweight WBC world champion Carlos Adames, who is 24 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 18 wins by way of knockout. And people are saying that Carlos Adames, who's 5'11" with a 73-inch arm reach, is having his way with Terence Bud Crawford. And this is an indication that the 168-pound Canelo Alvarez, who's 5'7" with a 70-inch arm reach, is going to have the same type of success and knock Terence Crawford out. But what people are not paying attention to is Terence Crawford is standing right in front of Carlos Adames and taking the big punches from Carlos Adames as he's standing in the pocket and counterpunching him and taking his blows at a smaller weight class while competing at 147. Now he bulked up. What y'all think?
However, the size difference cannot be ignored. Canelo is built for 168 pounds, and his power and pressure are difficult for any opponent to handle. While Crawford's boxing IQ and precise punches have earned him a reputation as one of the best finishers in the sport, Canelo's ability to impose his size and strength has helped him dominate multiple weight classes. Crawford's approach will likely be based on outsmarting the Mexican champ, using his ring IQ and speed to stay one step ahead of Canelo.
We just got some footage. Terence Bud Crawford on his socials, on Instagram, that's where I got mine from. On Instagram, him throwing punches with the slip rope. I want you guys to tell me what you see. On top of that, I may get a copyright because I think he's playing some music, but I like the song so much. We'll just delete it later. Either way, after that, I show Canelo Alvarez on the slip rope when he was preparing for his last fight in Williams Guard.
Another critical point in the lead up to this fight is the question of Canelo's recent performances. While he remains the undisputed champion at super middleweight, there have been some who believe his best days are behind him. Canelo's recent win against William Skull left some fans and experts questioning whether the Mexican superstar is still at his peak. Crawford, while acknowledging Canelo's greatness, has been vocal in urging the champion to bring his absolute best to the ring on September 13th. Crawford argues this fight will be a defining moment for both of them, and both fighters will need to rise to the occasion.
And of course, look, you've accomplished everything. You're a first ballot Hall of Famer. You've been undisputed now in 2 weight classes. This would give you an undisputed championship in the 3rd weight class. But not just that, you know you're fighting an all-time great, and you know that the credit's gonna go to you if you beat a guy like Canelo Alvarez at 168. Is that why you want it?
Well, when I beat him.
When you beat him.
Definitely. You know, the stakes is high. You know, it's high risk, high reward type of fight, and I'm looking forward to it.
When would you say, from memory, that you first thought this fight was a real possibility, that you started thinking about this fight actually happening?
Well, I started thinking about it, you know, a couple of years ago when they started talking about Spence fighting Canelo. Then just, you know, sizing him up, like, all right, how tall is he? You know, how long his arms and things like that, just sizing him up like that and going to his fights and things like that. And when he walk out the ring, I'm looking at him, I'm like, man, all that big, you know. So me talking to him with Turkey and Turkey not wanting to fight, and me like, yeah, this is the fight that I want, being that, you know, he's the last great fighter.
To further analyze the fight, boxing expert Andre Ward has weighed in on the matchup. Ward, who is widely respected for his ring intelligence and ability to break down boxing styles, has highlighted that both Crawford and Canelo share similar approaches. Both are puncher boxers, a combination of power and skill. However, Ward emphasizes that neither fighter can afford to be reckless. They must adapt and become boxer punchers, balancing their ability to land power punches with the discipline needed to avoid mistakes.
I'm going with Terence Crawford. You know, big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it out against you. You know, it ain't no disrespect toward Canelo, but I've said this the last couple of years. I'm not betting against Terence Crawford against nobody right now. You got to show me that you can beat him.
Adding another layer of intrigue to the matchup, former light heavyweight champion Antonio Tarver has expressed his belief that Crawford will come out on top. While acknowledging that Canelo is a tremendous fighter, Tarver sees this as Crawford's toughest test to date, especially considering the physical and stylistic challenges Canelo presents. Tarver believes Crawford's intelligence in the ring will give him the edge over Canelo, who may struggle with Crawford's speed, fluidity, and unpredictability.
Terence got to be Terence, bro. He's a real deep thinker. deep thinker. He processed fights like nobody else. And he's processed this Canelo fight. He's seen it. He went through it 2 or 3 times already. He knows how this ends. You can tell the way he shadow boxes. He visualizing Canelo being right there in front of him. You understand? Look at the movement. That's all you got to do. Look at the movement. And that's the type of master boxer that Canelo is going to be facing. And the only thing I say is Canelo hasn't faced an opponent like this in a long time. You know what I mean? I think Canelo's going to have to go back to the Caleb Plant fight and look that good, that active, that, you feel me, moving with that type of grace to beat Terence Crawford. Because weight ain't gonna make the difference. It ain't gonna be the weight, it's gonna be the skill set.
However, not everyone shares this confidence in Crawford's ability to pull off the upset. Regis Prograis has cautioned against underestimating Canelo's strength, especially as Crawford faces a significant weight jump. Prograis points out that Canelo has faced big punchers in the past, like Sergey Kovalev and Gennady Golovkin, and emerged victorious. Crawford's move up in weight may affect his speed and power, something that could play into Canelo's favor. Prograis believes that Crawford's challenge in facing a fighter as strong and battle-tested as Canelo might be too much to overcome.
You know, I think that Crawford has the ability to outbox Canelo. You gotta look at, and then Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, you know, and he can look bigger Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin, he fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference, Jamel looked like the bigger man. You know, his head, his neck, everything looked bigger, but when they got in the fight, you can tell. You can see who really was the bigger man, and I think that's the same thing. Crawford is putting on weight, but it's not weight. Like Canelo had the weight already. He doesn't have to put on muscle. He doesn't have to do that. He's already big like that. But I think that Crawford does have the style. He does have the style to beat him. If you look at the people that beat him or gave him troubles, Irislan, De Lara, Austin Trout, Floyd, and Bivol, you know, they gave him trouble and stuff like that. And Skull moved around a little bit too. So I think that Crawford has that, but I don't know how Crawford is gonna respond when he gets hit. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel was undisputed at 154, and Canelo hit him and shit. Jamel was like, hell no. Jamel took a knee, you know. So it's a big difference. And Crawford had that one fight at 154, and he didn't, you know, Madrimov would touch him up a little bit. And this is nowhere close to Madrimov. You talk about Canelo. Now, if it was just another bigger guy, I would go with Crawford. But you talk about this might be, I mean, people might kill me for it, but well, not really, but this might be the best Mexican fighter ever.
Roy Jones Jr., a boxing legend in his own right, has weighed in on the contest and said he believes Crawford has multiple paths to victory. He points out that Crawford is a more versatile fighter, and unlike Canelo, doesn't have just one way to win. For Jones, Crawford's hunger and ability to adapt in the ring make him the favorite, though he admits that Canelo could still prove him wrong if he fights the correct fight.
Fight that he can fight, on the correct fight that he can fight, he does have a chance, and I think he could be victorious. If he doesn't fight one way, he can only fight to win it. Terence Crawford has 6 ways he can win it.
Andy Ruiz has also shared his thoughts on the matchup, acknowledging the challenges both fighters will face. Ruiz, who is a fan of Canelo, understands the weight advantage that the Mexican champion holds. However, he's quick to note that Canelo has struggled with southpaw fighters in the past, making Crawford's style particularly dangerous for the champion. Ruiz refrains from picking a clear winner, but sees the fight as a thrilling spectacle that could go either way.
Well, all I know is that if you were in a Canelo Crawford card, that card would be a million times. It's still an amazing card, but you would have added a lot. Who wins, Canelo or Crawford?
I think it's gonna be a good fight, man. I'm going for Canelo, of course. You know, he's the Mexican warrior as well. But Crawford, man, you can't neglect him or you can't underestimate him as well. You know, he has a lot of skills, a lot of movement. He's a lefty as well. That's what Canelo has trouble with. I think it's gonna be an amazing fight, man. I just can't wait. And
Abel Sanchez, the renowned coach who worked with Gennady Golovkin for years, has weighed in from a more critical perspective. Sanchez points out that Crawford's rapid weight gain just over the course of 14 to 15 months might be a significant disadvantage. He argues that had Crawford spent more time building his body for the move up in weight, he might have had a better chance against a fighter like Canelo. The concern is that Crawford may lose some of his speed and agility at the heavier weight, something that could play right into Canelo's hands.
To have a guy come up from 140 pounds in such a short period of time, I'm not saying he couldn't have done it. If he'd have taken 3 or 4 years like Canelo did and built up his, not only his strength, but his bulk in the correct way, he would have had a better chance. But to do it in these 14, 15 months that he's done it in.
As the Mega Clash approaches, everyone is giving his prediction on it. Abel Sanchez, a renowned boxing trainer, recently also gave his take on the Canelo versus Crawford matchup. He gave a bold verdict relating to this fight, and let's explore what he had to say. Sanchez's confident opinion has added fuel to the debate, making this already highly anticipated bout even more intriguing for boxing fans around the world. As we get closer to fight night, all eyes will be on Terence Crawford as he steps into the ring with Canelo Alvarez in a battle that promises to deliver fireworks. With so many factors at play, from Crawford's unyielding drive to his rapid weight jump and Canelo's imposing strength, it's shaping up to be one of the most exciting and unpredictable matchups of recent years. Whether or not Crawford can pull off the unthinkable remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: September 13th will be a night to remember for boxing fans worldwide.